Hello and welcome to episode 399 of the No Sugarcoating podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here with me from wherever you are all over the world. I cannot believe we're one episode away from 400. This is a huge milestone. We are going to celebrate next episode. You will not want to miss it. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff. I'm going to be dropping Hormone Harmony, the 6-month hormone group program with a special early bird savings and some insane bonuses that you won't want to miss out on. I'm going to do a giveaway. We're going to be dropping a new kind of like little self-care tool that you can use. Well, I don't know if we'll do that next week. We might wait a couple episodes because I don't want to like give too much all at once because, I feel like I give you guys a lot. So that'll be dropping the next few episodes. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff. So I'm really excited. Today's episode, I'm so excited. We're going to go deep into how hormone imbalance triggers emotional eating, hormone imbalance and low mood, and steps to start addressing hormone imbalances. We're going to go really deep today, and I'm going to connect some things for you that I haven't really talked about before that is going to give you aha moments. It's going to help you start to understand maybe some of the reasons you're emotionally eating and you can't figure out why. It's going to help you understand your mood when it comes to hormone imbalances, potential hormone imbalances that are going on. So we're going to dive into that right away. So excited as always to deliver all the goods to you. So just a couple of key announcements first. As always, details from today's show can all be found at amberapproved.ca /podcasts /399. So if you're wanting to come and take advantage of the coaching savings that's happening, if you're wanting to sign up for the Hormone Havoc Masterclass, all the details are there to just click through and sign up and get whatever you need. So, I was my client sessions yesterday and today, or I guess this past week, have just been incredible. I've been checking in with my clients, seeing how they're doing on their journey, making sure they're getting everything that they need, and they're feeling very good about the healing that's occurring. And I have two clients in particular that I really want to celebrate because they are like making massive life changes, realizing that their current, careers were not positively impacting their health and well-being, mental health, etc. And another client who's just making massive strides with healing binge eating and deep self-sabotage with food. And, one of the things my one client shared with me, she's like, I'm loving what we're doing. And, she's like, I really want to keep going. I see the depth of this work. I'm not done yet. Right. And so she wants to do a renewal in the next few months as we finish our first year together. And, I want to read something that she said because it literally teared me up and I almost cried tears of joy because this is the work that is happening. And I just feel so blessed to help you beautiful women who are struggling with this. And she essentially told me, at the end of our session that, after years of trying therapy, not much changed, and that the support and the work that we're doing together has been the only thing that has helped her stop binge eating and stop the calorie counting, the weigh-ins, the food addiction, the diet addiction, the deep sabotage. And she really gets the depth of this journey and the layers, and she's showing up and she wants to fully free herself from what's still there, like some control, all or nothing, things like that. But the fact that she is that committed and wants to really free herself from this, I just commend her for it. And she wants to start a career in a different, realm. And she knows that healing this is going to assist her with that, and just her being so grateful for the work that we're doing together. It was just a pleasure to witness her in that moment. And then I had another client who I wrapped up with a while ago, and I had posted a post on what your skin breakouts mean on Instagram, and her and I had worked together for 6 months, and she was sharing in, the stories or in the comments how it was the best decision to dive into the program and work on balancing the internal, the hormones, the gut issues, the unworthiness, the self-sabotage with food, and what a positive impact it had on her healing, and, how grateful she is for the work that we did together. So I wanted to just share these because this is very profound work and it's life-changing work. So if you have been, debating reaching out to discuss support, I highly encourage you to either go to amberapproved.ca and schedule a 30-minute body freedom call or business freedom call so that we can connect for 30 minutes. and talk about your goals, your struggles, your symptoms, self-sabotage with food, body image, mindset, etc., and go deep. And then I can give you the details, of what it's like to work together, and also make sure you tune into last week's episode 398, because I also go into depth sharing that. The 4 and 6 month programs are on a savings, $1,000 off 4 months, $2,000 off of 6 months until the end of February. So you have some time to take advantage of this and to come and dive in. This is profound. This is deep. If you're really wanting to make changes and make waves and gain freedom, I highly encourage you to reach out. So I wanted to share that, and of course share that we're going to be doing some really fun stuff for next week's episode 400. So be ready. And if you're finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're dealing with emotional eating, food addiction, binge eating, gut issues, inflammation, you suspect your hormones are off, but you don't know exactly how to figure out what's going on, your self-care and you as a priority continue to be low on your list, and you're wanting to connect more with your empath, your energetic spiritual sides, you're wanting to heal, well, you're in the right place. Welcome as we continue to dive into the habits and mindsets to set you on a different path. So how hormone imbalances are triggering emotional eating. Ooh, this is so deep. This is so deep. And I'm truly excited to share all of this with you. These are things that I really learned about as I was healing, and that I've observed in my clients as they've been healing, food and body freedom, almost 10 years. 10 years in August, I will have had my business and helping, a good 1,600 women create food and body freedom in the different programs that I offer. And I'm just so grateful to have witnessed so much progress and healing. So our hormones can trigger emotional eating. And I want to break down like the different hormone imbalances that I see, as well as a few, like vitamin and mineral deficiencies as well that can also impact and fuel emotional eating, in my opinion, because of how they impact things like our energy levels. So I'm going to dive into that. So essentially, to me, where this hormone stress response really starts, it's like the chicken or the egg, which one comes first? And it's different for everybody, but the patterns that I see with my clients are essentially, and that I went through too, I see that there is a core unworthiness. I don't feel good enough, feeling insecure in my body. All of that is tied to this. And so that fuels the desire to like diet, restrict, do exercise, not because you love it and because it makes you feel good, but to lose weight, burn calories, because if I can lose weight, then finally I'll be happy. And then when you fail on the diet, or that all or nothing mentality of like trying to be perfect with food or falling way the other way just takes over, that causes a lot of stress on the nervous system, negative self-talk, feeling insecure, feeling the need to people please, fearing people judging you, fearing people abandoning you, fearing people getting upset with you, all these false evidence appearing real, these false fears that we create, that our ego creates for us, right? Fear of things going on in the world, when rest assured, dear souls, everything is truly going to be okay. I'm excited. I have a dream guest who's going to be coming on the show in a few weeks. And we're going to talk about that, and you're going to feel probably a heck of a lot better. But, yeah, if I can send you any reassurance, shut off more of the outside and go more inward if you can. Anyways, so we have all these fears and worries and insecurities and these self-sabotaging habits. We're on technology too much. We're watching too much TV. We are lacking in sleep. We're not taking the time to process our emotions properly. We're numbing down with food. We're in self-sabotage with food, criticizing our bodies, etc. And every time we go into a stress response, our amygdala essentially is like, oh, fear pushes your body into fight or flight, floods your body with a flood of, adrenaline and cortisol, etc. And then if you're constantly in this stress response and you're constantly in fear, worry, right? Like deer in headlights all the time because of your own like self-sabotage and your own insecurities and your own negative self-talk, amongst them like life and overbooked schedules, etc. You're constantly having this like cascade of cortisol and adrenaline flooding in your body. And this is the stress hormone. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And then what happens is it just continues to go up, 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 up. And I've talked about this before, but a good 95 to 99% of my clients in the last 10 years have all had high or low cortisol, and it goes high first. And if it's high for too long, the body gets fatigued of trying to keep up with producing this high amount of cortisol, because we're only supposed to have a stress response for a short period of time. Cortisol is produced to help protect us, and then it comes back down. But like everything in like modern society triggers a stress response pretty much, right? So especially if our ego's constantly in control and calling the shots, because then we're completely out of our power. And if we're out of our power, we are in fear, we're in worry, we're in insecurity, we're in desperation, we're in self-sabotage. So it's very easy for the cortisol to spike up. And when the cortisol is high for long enough, it can really start to have a significant impact on our mood, our vibration, our like mental focus and clarity, our energy levels, our blood sugar, our cravings, appetite levels, metabolism, weight, digestive function, like so many different things, your cycle, your fertility. So the first tie of how hormone imbalances are triggering emotional eating is cortisol gets too high, and then our blood sugar becomes really irregular, and you can end up with really low blood sugar. And so as the cortisol is spiking and peaking, the blood sugar is going to spike and drop in bigger peaks and valleys. And what happens is you have a blood sugar surge. You may have increased cravings for refined sugar, refined carbohydrates, or salt. And part of this is because when you're in this heightened stress response and your blood sugar spiking, you're right, like it's really hard for your ghrelin levels, which ghrelin is the hunger hormone that makes you hungry, and leptin is the hunger hormone that makes you full. But it's really hard for these to regulate and be really stable through the day if your body's constantly in a stress response. So if we have this high cortisol and our blood sugar is spiking and dropping, we can have increased cravings, like I said, for sugar, carbs, and salt. The reason for the salt is we're burning through our minerals more quickly when our body's in a heightened stress response. And so the body's hoping we'll eat mineral-rich foods like pink and gray sea salts, seaweeds, right? Things like that are actually healthy, mineral-rich electrolytes. But instead, we're reaching for like the chips and the salted nuts and the refined salts that are not actually going to really benefit us a whole lot and have a lot of inflammatory oils, etc. And then the more refined salt we eat, the more we crave it. And there's usually hidden MSGs. And then we crave more sugar and carbs because of this peaks and valleys, these peaks and spikes and drops with the blood sugar. So you may notice you have increased appetite levels with this elevated cortisol, and that you're never satiated, you're never satisfied, and that you find it easier to overeat, or you find it easier to binge or lose control with food. And this is because potentially your cortisol is off, and it's really having a significant impact on your blood sugar, which of course will impact your cravings. If you're in a lot of fear and you're feeling there's a lack of sweetness in life, that will make you crave more sugar and refined carbohydrates as well. So there's always an emotional connection. But like stress, people pleasing, self-sabotage with food, too much caffeine, too much exercise, not enough sleep, being overbooked, perfection, all or nothing, like these are the kinds of things that will spike cortisol levels. Obviously, gut issues, other hormone imbalances and deficiencies, in the body can do the same thing. So I often find my clients that have high cortisol don't feel as satiated, and they're lacking key nutrients. And then this high cortisol is fueling overeating, by accident, because they can't get satiated and satisfied. Another thing is that when our cortisol is elevated, we can potentially hang on to more abdominal weight, feel more puffy. And when we're in that state, you may become more critical of your body, and that may trigger emotional eating because now you're feeling insecure, right? So we have cortisol triggering like abdominal weight gain, that triggering body image triggers, that fueling emotional eating. And then we have cortisol fueling blood sugar spikes and drops, sugar cravings, salt cravings, irregular appetite, not feeling satiated, and that morphs into emotional eating triggers. And you're like, no matter what, I'm never satiated. Or you end up having your blood sugar spike and drop so low that you get too hungry and you're hangry. And that is also another tie to potentially cortisol levels that are too high or too low. And I find when our cortisol is really high or really low, we burn through our minerals and vitamins more quickly. And so then we can end up with really low vitamin B12. And B12 is the energy vitamin. If that's really deficient, you can feel very fatigued. And you may already feel fatigued if your cortisol has been high for long enough. And when we are in a fatigue state, we can go into the I don't care, F it mentality. I'm going to eat whatever I want. And that's another emotional eating trigger, the I don't care, fatigue, F it trigger. The other part of the fatigue trigger is that oftentimes most of my clients anyway, when they're really fatigued or when we are really fatigued, we actually produce more ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone that makes you hungry, and less leptin to make you feel full. So you may feel like you could just eat all day and you have like the hollow leg thing going on. And that's because your energy's off. And so it's impacting your blood sugar and your hunger hormone cues. So that's really important to understand as well. And that's why doing this deep investigation is so important, and why I'm always doing testing with my clients and checking in on symptoms and like connecting these dots, because emotional eating is very much core emotionally based, but there's also a lot of physical imbalances that are fueling emotional eating, and a lot of mindset, emotional things that are stressing out our hormones that are fueling emotional eating as well. So it's so important that we connect these dots and make sure that you have the full clarity of what's probably going on for you. Also, low iron. If your iron and ferritin are low, these are very tied to your energy levels. So like I was just saying, if you're fatigued and it's tied to this can also push you into the F it, I don't care mentality, right? And trigger emotional eating. So it's so important we don't just test B12 or iron, we test those and cortisol, and we see that if there's a connection between a high cortisol, low cortisol, and your deficiencies with your vitamins and your minerals, because there very well could be. Right. And the more off our cortisol is, the more irritable and the more moody you may be, the more short your fuse may be, the more reactive you may be. I really noticed that when my cortisol was high. My clients describe that as well. And then when we're in that state, if we are using a coping mechanism like food or TV and technology or online shopping or alcohol or whatever it is, well, then we desire to suppress, numb, and distract feeling those feelings, right, with food. And you're chasing a dopamine hit. If you're more irritable, if you're in a lower mood, right, you're sad, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're in comparison, criticism, etc. This plus eating processed foods and having hormone imbalances can lower your dopamine, which is one of your feel-good hormones. And so then you're chasing a dopamine high, eating the processed foods, the sugar, the fast food, the refined salts, the stuff laden with MSG and aspartame, and all these flavor enhancers that are literally designed in a lab. It's not food, it's lab made to give you this pleasure response and keep, spending your money on this cheap, crappy food, right? I used to do the same thing because I was addicted to it. It's addiction. It really is. And everyone has a different level of it that's in this state, right? But you're chasing the dopamine high, but yeah, you have your little high, but then it stresses your body out more. And then your body gets inflamed and puffy and your blood sugar goes off even more. And that can fuel even more emotional eating because now your cravings are increased. Your blood sugar is more irregular. Your body's more stressed out. And now you're feeling guilt, anger, shame, frustration, embarrassment, judgment because you did it again. You self-sabotaged again. And that can fuel more emotional eating. So we see how the vicious cycle can really continue. And when we look at just a side note, the more high cortisol we have, the more imbalance we have in the body, the more stress, the more inflammation we have. So the retention, the puffiness, the pain, the swelling, the heat, the redness, skin issues, eczema, arthritis, joint pain, old injuries that won't heal, headaches, etc. All signs of inflammation. And the more inflammation we have in the body, the more it lowers our vibration, the more it depletes our serotonin and dopamine, those feel-good hormone neurotransmitter levels. And then the lower our mood, the lower our vibration, like I talked about in a previous episode, the more insecure we feel, the more out of our power we feel, the more apt we are to continue to repeat more self-sabotaging behaviors, like continuing to emotionally eat or then restrict. And then maybe because you're feeling insecure, you're wanting to get validation from someone. So now you're people pleasing and chasing a dopamine hit and you're letting people walk all over you. And right, like it creates these looping behaviors and then it just stresses your body out more and creates bigger hormone imbalances. And that can trigger more emotional eating, right? The body puffing up could make you feel critical and frustrated. And that can trigger emotional eating, like I've been talking about, because now you're triggered because your clothes are not fitting properly, right? But if you stay in these habits of continuing to reach for food or not working on your self-worth, right? Being upset with your body because you can't lose weight, you're people pleasing, you're staying overbooked because you want to avoid dealing with your stuff, right? All of this, can fuel us to want to chase these dopamine highs. But it doesn't actually get us where we want to go. And it just keeps us in those spirals. So it's really important that we start to understand, right? Some of the key, ways hormone imbalances triggers emotional eating. Of course, then we have this whole cascade of events that then our thyroid can go off, which I'm going to talk more about that in the hormone imbalance and low mood section. But the more off our thyroid is, the more irregular our appetite levels, and you may not feel hungry in the morning, so you don't eat, but then you're so hungry by lunchtime or the afternoon or evening, and then you overeat, and that triggers binge eating and emotional eating. So there's that aspect of hormone imbalances that is impacting our relationship with food. Our estrogen and progesterone spiking when our cycles come in close, and if they're really out of whack, that impacts the mood significantly, and that impacts the blood sugar, right? And that can all fuel more self-sabotage with food, more cravings as well. So we see how there is a wide array of imbalances going on that could have a significant impact. And I'm going to talk more about hormone imbalance and low mood right away. First, though, I just want to bring in a friendly reminder to make sure that you come and join me for Hormone Havoc, my free 2-day masterclass happening Thursday, February 23rd and Friday, February 24th, online via Zoom. Like I said, it is free and it's 2 days. Day one, we're going to explore the emotional, mindset, and behavioral connections with hormone imbalance. And day two will be like the physical, the gut hormones, inflammation, looking at different imbalances that are going on, right? Everything from like your skin to PMS, weight gain, menopause, brain fog, breakouts, right? The most common signs of stress and sex hormone imbalance, the reasons you're struggling with fatigue and energy lulls, and why you can't get to the root causes of what's going on with your hormones, and where to start and what steps to start taking. So if you want to sign up for Hormone Havoc, you can go to the show notes at amberapproved.ca /podcast/399. There will be a banner there that says Hormone Havoc. Just click it and sign up there. You can also just go to my Instagram at amberromaniuk, ROMANIUK. Click on my link tree, and it's the very top one. Just click it, and you can also register there. You will get access to the replays for a week afterwards so that you can watch them if you can't come live. And for those who do come and join this, if you have any hormone questions, I'm going to open up for you to share your questions. And I'm actually going to record an entire episode, hormone Q&A, etc., whatever people want to ask that come to this masterclass. So you will not want to miss it. Come and join us. You can either go to the show notes or my Instagram and sign up. Cannot wait to see you there. We already have an incredible group of women in. So come and join us for Hormone Havoc. Okay, hormone imbalance and low mood. So what I want to do is I want to talk about specific hormone imbalances and how they impact our mood, because of course, if the mood is off, that can trigger the desire for the dopamine hit, the emotional eating, the binging and purging, the numbing, distracting, shoving down emotions with food, right? So I want to help you understand that it's vital and crucial that we start understanding what hormone imbalances we have, right? So that we can start balancing them, not just to gain relief of our physical symptoms, but also to significantly improve our mood. Our mental health is so important. And the better we feel physically, the higher our vibration, the easier it is for the body to heal. So from an energetic standpoint, this is also very important. So hypothyroid, this is underactive thyroid. It's when your thyroid is more sluggish. There's often a too high of a level of thyroid stimulating hormone being produced, and the T3 and T4 can start to, reduce. So I find some of the most common signs of hypothyroid, and I had this, a lot of my clients have this, and of course they'll go and talk to their doctor about it, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, no, everything's fine. We did your lab and everything's normal, but the normal range is way too big. I'm going to be talking more about this in Hormone Havoc, so make sure you come and join me. But common signs of hypothyroid, so underactive thyroid, joint pain, stiff joints, weight gain, troubles losing, hair loss, eyebrow thinning, extreme fatigue in the morning that improves through the day, irregular cycles, lack of appetite signal, especially through the first half of the day, salt cravings. And the salt craving really comes because the thyroid is hoping you're going to eat the seaweeds and the mineral rich foods that are rich in iodine and magnesium and things like that will help improve thyroid function. But we don't do that. We go for the salty processed foods. So when we have hypothyroid, we can see some of the following tied to our mood occur. A slowness, with like mental processing or thoughts, like your memory might feel like it's behind and not sharp, brain fog, anxiety, shorter temper, feeling excessive stress. Maybe you're making things a bigger deal than they actually are, or maybe you actually have a lot of stress, but it's just feeling like it's really amplified. Loss of interest in things, difficulty, like I said, with your memory, more short-term, especially, not feeling yourself. Like that's what it felt like for me. And that's what a lot of my clients describe as, I don't feel like myself. There's this kind of like muddled thinking and like this disconnect. And so getting your thyroid checked out is always really important, and not just TSH, T3, T4, like your antibodies, ruling out Hashimoto's and things like that. And if you have Hashimoto's or your antibodies are really high, there's actually so much we can do to get those antibody numbers down. And I've seen it with clients that I've had that going on. There's so much we can do. And I'm going to talk about that in Hormone Havoc, the masterclass. So make sure you come and join me for that, because you don't have to just go, oh, well, I have high numbers and I can't change it. No, like there's always so much we can do. Are you willing to explore it? So if your thyroid's off, right, and you're having these shifts with your mood, well, of course, you may have a desire to chase the dopamine hit of emotional eating, binge eating, whatever your coping mechanism is, a glass of wine in the evening every night, which again, the more alcohol, the more processed food, the more it suppresses our mood boosting hormones, the more inflammation we have, the more it suppresses the thyroid. And this is obviously can just fuel our symptoms. So we don't want to do that. But it's important to understand this, because if you're having mood issues because of hormone imbalances, well, guess what? We can take steps to investigate what's exactly going on with your hormones, what's the severity of the imbalances, and then we can start to take steps to balance those babies out, which is what I love to do. I feel like I'm like a detective and we're investigating, right? And as we do so, it's very powerful and profound what kind of things we find. Like I have clients who, right, they finally for the first time go get their hormones tested, and then we discover they do have like elevated thyroid antibodies, they do have Hashimoto's, they do have a thyroid imbalance or high cortisol, and then we can actually then take the steps to deal with it, right? But we need clarity with actual results and a really thorough assessment. Just trying to diagnose yourself on Google and read books are great, but we want to see actual numbers, because that's going to dictate potentially certain like protocols and like things that you may take, things that might not actually be helpful to stop taking, etc. Right? And depending on the severity of the imbalance is going to dictate how long it takes. You have to be willing to bring patience in and learn patience on this journey, because your body, she's miraculous and she will heal. However, if it's been years and you expect things to just fully shift and heal in a month or 2 or 3, like we can see a lot of change in that time, but be patient with your progress and be grateful that your body's, giving you this opportunity to make this change. So that's thyroid, high cortisol. And the same can be said for low cortisol as well. I've seen the deficiency on both sides really impact the mood. So signs of this hormone imbalance, just to give you some awareness, brain fog, low energy all day, like extreme fatigue, pronounced afternoon energy lulls, trouble falling asleep, abdominal weight gain, salt, sugar, carb cravings, anxiety, irritability, missed cycles, fertility issues, high blood pressure, more sensitive digestion. And there's, more unique symptoms for each person, but these are some of the most common ones. And so like I've been talking about, often we will have massive cortisol spikes or really depleted cortisol levels due to our lack of healthy ways to cope and our lack of desire to feel, process, and release our emotions in healthy ways, because we're shoving them down and numbing out, right? We're overbooked, overwhelmed, you're lacking in sleep, you're lacking balance, and the unworthiness and not feeling good enough, and the need to please and prove and be perfect and chase validation from others and be overbooked to distract yourself from your, wanting to face your stuff. All of this fuels our cortisol to go up. Binge eating, emotional eating, binging, and purging all stress the body out significantly, and they boost these levels really high. No time for yourself, too much caffeine, too much stimulation, not enough, good fats and carbohydrates with our meals, too much mindless exercise. And now mindless, right? So if you're going to the gym or you're doing exercise because you're desperate to lose weight, you have tied your worth up with how much exercise you do. You are afraid that if you stop, you're going to completely lose control of your body and you're not going to be happy. That to me is an unhealthy relationship with exercise versus a healthy, mindful relationship with exercise. Is I do it because I love it. It boosts my mood. It makes me feel good. There's so many benefits to it. And also I give my body permission to rest if it doesn't feel like a day to do movement. I'm detached from how often I need to go and what the workouts are, what it needs to look like. I let my body lead. That's a place of like love and worthiness, etc. So they're very different. So if there's an unhealthy relationship with exercise, we want to work on that, because that can fuel your cortisol level so high. I had an unhealthy relationship with exercise. I was doing it because I was desperate to lose weight, and I had a fear of gaining weight, and it was causing me to gain weight because it was making my cortisol too high, and it was giving me underactive thyroid and making my estrogen too high. And that's the perfect trifecta for weight gain instead of weight loss. And so starting to understand that, and that my unworthiness and body criticism, etc., was fueling it, really helped me to like pull back, rest my body, honor my body, regulate my hormones, and build a mindful relationship with movement. We should not need exercise to lose weight, in my opinion. The more we heal, the safer the body feels, the more we do the emotional, mental, physical, energetic, spiritual healing. The protection is weight is a protective mechanism. The body will let go when she feels safe. And the bonus is you move your body mindfully because you love her, and you have the benefits of it for your unique reasons, right? World stuff can fuel high cortisol. Like I know a lot of people that are really fearful of a lot of things going on in the world right now. And this is where I really encourage you to set healthy boundaries with your media and your news watching, and spend more time in self-care and getting grounded. Truly do it. I have no fear about things going on in the world. I am in such a place of detachment because I trust, and I know that like, so essentially the world's going through a big purge candida cleanse, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be purged off this planet. And that's why things are happening the way they are, but we're going to such an incredible place. And I just know it. And I've never trusted my intuition and my knowing so much. So hopefully that gives you a bit of reassurance. And if it triggers the crap out of you, well, that's your trigger to deal with. So cortisol helps your body deal with, and I caps, all caps, perceived threats. Okay. It's very rare that we're actually in a state of threat by a bear or someone driving into your lane, right? Like perceived threats, which means most are false stories made up in our minds or given to us via the media, right? And etc., other people's negative thoughts and beliefs. Fear is false evidence appearing real in most cases, but we have programmed our ego so much that we give our power away to our ego, and you're in fear, you're in lack, your body image is triggering you to become critical, you have a fear of not being liked or accepted, you people please, you're in perfection, you're in all or nothing, you're overbooking your schedule, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your body, and this fuels cortisol and fuels these perceived threats. And so the longer our cortisol is high, the more mood swings we can have, the more of a lower mood, anxiety, right? Anxiety, a big cause of that is feeling like you have no power, and there's very high levels of cortisol flooding through your body on a regular basis. Depression, which I just feel like that's such a heavy, dense word. I like to refer to it as low mood because it feels very permanent to say depression. And you know me, I'm a big believer in that we can heal anything if we address the roots. It just takes time. But panic attacks, right? All of these are signs of high cortisol in the body. And then if we feel this enough, we can want to go to food to soothe and suppress and numb, because it's very uncomfortable to have a panic attack or anxiety or feel in a low mood. But a lot of this is because we have depletions of serotonin, dopamine, hormone imbalances, gut imbalances. The ego's in full-fledged control. We don't know how to manage our ego. We don't know how to take our power back. And so the ego is belittling you and putting you down and making you feel small. The ego, wants you to stay in fear, worry, control, insecurity, not feeling good enough. It's for you to continue to stay critical of your body and not do any of the deep healing and keep making up all the reasons, stories, and excuses why you can't. And it's not a good idea, because then the ego keeps you stuck. And then there's a lot more unnecessary suffering that you don't need that will continue. So a huge part of balancing hormones and any of the healing I do with my clients is dealing with the ego, really being willing to deal with it and doing the deeper work. And when you show up and you do the deeper work, massive change happens. If you don't show up, not a lot changes. It's totally up to you. You are your own healer. I'm just the guide, right? So this is why it's so important for us to do the mindset work, the physical, the mental, emotional, and energetic work, because they're all very connected. We must deal with the ego. Supplements and nutrition are one part, right? But the supplements and nutrition do not help you learn to understand your ego, how to take your power back, how to set boundaries. We must be willing to do the deeper emotional work and be patient, because like I always say, it does take time to shift. I know people want the quick fix. You want it to all change now, but you deny yourself of the learnings, the awareness, the understanding, the growth, and the freedom and the enlightenment if you rush through it. And you'll probably end up continuing to repeat the same patterns over and over and keep struggling with the same things over and over if you keep quitting and quick fixing and not giving things a chance, because it just takes time. Like It's blunt. This is the No Sugarcoating podcast. That's the truth. And I mean it with love, right? So that's cortisol, right? How that can impact our mood. And then if our mood is impacted, like I've been talking about, this triggers emotional eating. Okay, progesterone. So if our progesterone levels are low, you may have irregular cycles. It may have disappeared. Maybe you're having struggles getting pregnant. You have migraines, irregular periods, unexplained anxiety, a lot of fatigue, hot flashes, poor sleep patterns, irritability. And then of course the poor sleep and this deficiency fuels anxiety potentially. Right. And so like we've been talking about, if you have this and you're experiencing this, let's connect, let's get these hormones tested and see what's going on so we can shift things for you. But we see how then this impacts your mood, that then it triggers emotional eating. There's so much connection to this. And then we have estrogen. So estrogen and serotonin are very connected. Serotonin is my favorite neurotransmitter, mood boosting hormone that is produced in the brain, and the gut is a huge connection to that. And it is a huge contributor to how you feel and your feelings of well-being. And it is the happiness hormone, even though it's a neurotransmitter. So one of its main roles is to regulate our mood. And we can have our mood feel disrupted if we don't have enough of this, if we're not producing enough of this in the body. And for serotonin to be produced, we need estrogen. We need enough estrogen in the body. And if we don't have enough estrogen, then we can be depleted in serotonin. So having enough having enough estrogen improves and increases the production of serotonin. And of course, the more consistency we have with that, the better our mood. So if your estrogen levels are really low, you may have more anger, more of that low mood, anxiety, frustration, irritability. And then when we have the regulated estrogen and serotonin levels, you may notice you have more happiness, joy, peace, ease. You're in a better mood. It's really helpful for emotional well-being. So another thing, with being a woman, of course, is it's understandable that if we have these undetected hormone imbalances going on, like even just this one piece, not to mention like the gut issues, the ego, the self-sabotage with food, the insecurities, the people pleasing, etc. Right? When we have even just look at this one thing, right? There's a constant of potential imbalances that could be going on, and that impacts our metabolism, that impacts our neurotransmitters, our mental health. Where women are going through a cycle that lasts for at least 28 days. And if you're only having a 15-day, 20-day cycle, reach out. Let's look at that, because that's not normal, right? But there's all these fluctuations with our hormones through the month, through the different phases of our cycle, and that will impact our mood as well. We'll have heightened mood impact if our hormones are out of whack and our guts out of whack, et cetera, all the things I've been talking about today. And we can be more irritable. We can have a shorter fuse and be more reactive. I mean this with love, and at the same time, I don't think that if you get really moody and you're snapping on your spouse and then you're blaming it on your cycle, I think there's deeper work for us to do, because I think that it's like, okay, like I'm moody. I need to learn how to love and nurture myself and balance my hormones so that I'm not projecting on someone else, because it's, you know what I mean? Like, I know we can be more sensitive, and it's good to express that and get support if that's going on. But let's dig to the bottom of the hormone imbalances and clear out the PMS symptoms and the extreme moodiness, because you're not meant to suffer, and you're not meant to have these extreme changes in your mood. It's imbalance, and it's not normal, and it's been too normalized. So let's address it so we can shift it. And then we can have less moodiness, less severity of moodiness. And to me, that is just key for everybody, for you, your spouse, your family, your colleagues, friends, etc. And like I've been talking about, if our mood is low, we desire the quick fix dopamine hits from the food, the shopping, the validation, the people pleasing, the numbing out with TV, technology, the alcohol, the phones, and it doesn't address what's really going on. It doesn't help you get to the roots of what's really going on. So that gives you some more insight into some hormones. I could keep going, but I feel like these are key ones that I see my clients deal with. Same with low testosterone, that can have an impact here too. So now let's start talking a little bit about things we can do to start addressing these hormone imbalances. I shared a post on Instagram last week that blew up. it definitely, I was like not expecting. It's always great when it happens, but I'm like, okay, obviously, people are wanting this and craving this. So, I'm going to talk about some key things to do to start addressing your hormones, because this is going to directly impact your mood. This is also going to help you gain stride with healing your relationship with food and so much more. Number one, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to get support if you can. If you have the finances, get support. If you're connecting with someone that you feel could really assist you and advocate for you and help you identify what's going on with your hormones, go through testing with you, help you connect your symptoms, right? Give you really great recommendations to help you balance them. Get that support. Like, I'm always doing that with my clients, right? We're getting to the roots of your symptoms. We're doing a thorough health assessment. We're taking a whole session to go over, right, the imbalances that are going on with your hormones, making specific recommendations, making sure the recommendations feel good for you, understanding why the hormones are off and why you're having the symptoms that you are. I do this in one-on-one coaching, and this is also, everyone that comes and does Hormone Harmony, which is my 6-month hormone group program. You get a hormone test and you also get a one-on-one session as well. So I'll talk more about that next week as that drops. But if you want to be in for Hormone Harmony and you want to claim one of the 10 spots, you can just send me a quick info@amberapproved.ca email saying so, and I'll send you the link. You can sign up now and I'll make sure you get the early bird. But have someone who's going to advocate for you and help you each step of the way to identify the roots of what's going on, and not just be rushed through, oh, everything's fine, it's in your head. That is not a good enough answer. We need to stop tolerating that as a response. It's not good enough. If you're having symptoms, your body's talking to you, it's not in your head, right? You're not alone. I see you, I hear you. If I can support you, please don't hesitate to reach out. But get support. So you can book a 30-minute body freedom call. You can schedule a consultation. You can email me. We can talk about what's available, because there's a lot here that we can work on and do if you're willing to, go on a journey. If there's someone else you want to connect with, please do. I just want you to get the support and guidance from whomever feels like the fit for you to help you with this. I love, my clients always say, I'm so glad that you can help me connect the hormone piece with the gut piece, with the mood, the self-sabotage with food, the ego, right? They're like, you're kind of all kinds of things all wrapped into one. And it's just the healing I've done and who I've been able to learn from, and the education that I've gone through, and the experience of 10 years of clients. It's helped me get to this space where I can really help. So I'm excited to connect with those of you that feel called to reach out. So get support. Number one, right? That to me is just potent, potent, potent. Be willing to start working on your ego. So there's hundreds of episodes of this podcast. You can go and listen. I talk about the ego in so many episodes. Start learning about your ego, build awareness, come to the Body Freedom membership. It's $77 USD a month. You can learn a lot about your ego there. Obviously, in one-on-one coaching, in Hormone Harmony, we're going to talk a lot about the ego as well. So if you want to come and join a program, feel free. I'm so happy to welcome you in and guide you on your journey. Be willing to also address your self-sabotage with food, binge eating, emotional eating, binge purge cycle. This is significantly amplifying hormone imbalances, amongst other things, and does need to be addressed. It's one of the number one things I work on with my clients, because it's having a significant impact on fueling and amplifying and adding gas to the fire of imbalances that are going on for you. So if you want to reach out and talk about that and work on that together, we can. And I also, of course, address self-sabotage with food in the hormone program that will be coming next week. Be willing to do the deeper work to get the deep change and the profound results, right? Be patient. It's going to take time to balance this. It took me 5 years to balance my hormones, but I was blindly figuring it out for myself. It doesn't take as long for my clients now, unless they're not showing up and doing the work, which is very rare. But if you show up and you do the work and you make the change, you can start to see changes in a week, a month, a couple of months. But be patient. The more severe the hormone imbalance, the longer it is going to take. But if you're really working with your body, it can be sped up. But let go of expectation of time and be willing to be on the journey. Some other things you can start with as well, at home already, even if you don't know your results. Number one, which is my favorite personally, is adding a nervous system calming tea into your day. So chamomile, holy basil, lavender, or passion flower tea can help you relax. You can start with good sleep hygiene and technology boundaries, right? So start getting to bed before 11 p.m. Shut your technology off. It's messing up your hormones to be on it right before bed. It's not good for your subconscious mind, right? Build self-care. Disconnect from technology at least a half an hour before bed. Try blue blocking glasses, right? If you're going to be on a computer, TV, phone a lot. This will help regulate your cortisol before bed and help increase your melatonin production, which is the hormone that helps you fall and stay asleep. Be willing to dedicate time to self-care. We can all make time by consuming less technology, right? Meditation, tapping, breath, journaling, nature time, walks, bath, mindful movement, relaxing music, whatever you like. We do a lot of self-care in the Body Freedom membership. So if you want to come and start with that, amberapproved.ca, click Body Freedom membership. You can sign up right there. Also, I do self-care and teach self-care tools to all my clients, whether we're in a group program, one-on-one, doesn't matter. Get your minerals, okay? When our hormones are out of whack, like I've been talking about, it can deplete our mineral stores from our bones, teeth, and tissues. So magnesium, iron, and calcium, right? And B12, which is a vitamin, can all become deficient. So add in pink and gray sea salt to your food where palatable. Put electrolytes into your water. Put sea salt or Epsom salt into your bath. Your body will absorb this. It's great for mineral replenishment. And it's also really good, especially the sea salt baths, to help clear your energy field of all kinds of negative energy and emotions. So if you are an empath and you're sensitive to energy, that's a great way to easily clear and detox emotionally and energetically as well, right? And I've talked about addressing emotional eating. I cannot emphasize how important it is, because if you've been going to like a naturopath or an integrative doctor, your doctor, and you're like trying to balance your hormones and you're taking all the supplements and you're getting all the testing done and you spent hundreds and thousands of dollars and like nothing is changing and you're so frustrated and you're thinking the protocol isn't working, but you're emotionally eating, you're people pleasing, you are overbooked, you are, not taking the time to prioritize yourself. There's hidden gut stuff, your ego's in full-blown control, you're being critical of your body. Well, of course, the stuff isn't going to work. Of course, the numbers aren't really probably going to change, or maybe that's why they're getting worse. Of course, the supplements are not going to work properly because you're not addressing the key core root causes of what's created your hormone imbalances in the first place. That is why it is so important for us to really be willing to do the holistic healing and do the deeper work and address the roots of everything that's going on versus just focusing on one thing and then getting pissed off because it's not improving. There's obviously other things your body and your higher self are trying to guide you to heal. If you are working on this hormone balance, but nothing is changing. So be willing to open up your mind and your opportunity to explore other pieces that maybe you've been hesitant or in procrastination to avoid dealing with. You want deep healing, muster up your courage. And I'm happy to, like I said, have a conversation with you about the journey and what it looks like. Oof, I've loved today's episode so much. I hope that you have too. If you're loving what you're hearing, please, I invite you to leave a review and 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you listen to the podcast, or you can send me an email with one if you don't listen on an app. I love sharing them in the episode. As always, as I said today, the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/399. This is where you can find the banner to sign up for the free 2-day Hormone Havoc Masterclass. If you want to have a discussion about one-on-one support or the hormone program, book a Body Freedom call or send me an email at info@amberapproved.ca. If you're wanting to learn more about emotional eating, and if you are struggling, you can go to amberapproved.ca and take the free emotional eating quiz. I know I give you guys a lot, but I just want you to see where you're at and take the steps to get what you need to get on this healing journey. You deserve to heal. You deserve to have food and body freedom. You deserve to have the most incredible quality of life and health and well-being. And it starts with you choosing to get on the path. It's up to you. It's all in your hands. It's in your power. So I am sending you so much love. I'm cheering you on. As I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health, balancing your hormones, dealing with emotional eating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So take action now. I hope you have the most amazing day. I hope to see you all at Hormone Havoc if it's resonant, and say hello if you're from the podcast, if you've been listening to it. And stay tuned for episode 400 next week. We're going to have a party. We've got so much to celebrate. We're going to do giveaways. I'm going to drop early bird savings and bonuses for Hormone Harmony. Like, you do not want to miss it. I am jazzed and amped, and it's an honor to be here with you recording this podcast. It's a pleasure that we're going to hit episode 400 next week. It's been such an incredible journey. Here's to the next 400 episodes, because I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I'm going to be like 90 recording this podcast. And some of you be like, I've been with you since the beginning, right? I can't wait for that. So sending you all a lot of love. And I cannot wait to record episode 400 and celebrate with you all next Sunday. Take care.